Hey super friends, Jake here with the Brave and the Boys, and we are in a new year. This is the first video of a new year of 2026, and I'm going to give you the 26 must own, must buy, most anticipated releases of the year. This is going to cover every single format from a compact comic up to an absolute, and it's also going to include some stuff that I already own that is being reprinted. So if you think, oh, it's all going to be new releases, it's not the case. I'm going to give you in chronological order my 26 must buys, who the creative team is, what they collect, and why I think you need to buy them. But before we get started, I want to thank you so much for supporting Jordan and I. We could not do this without all of you. So a reminder, we do have an Instagram. We're really trying to grow because comic book publishers, they like us TikTokers and Instagrammers. They don't care about us YouTubers. So please subscribe to us on Instagram. That would mean the world to us. And go join our Discord and meet your new comic book best friend. But let's dive in. Up first, we have Absolute Promethea Volume 2 by Alan Moore and J.H. Williams III. In the canon story of my absolute collecting journey, the hardest absolutes to obtain were almost always considered the Absolute Prometheas, volumes 1 through 3. Promethea tells the story, written by Alan Moore, painted beautifully in mixed media. So some things are like real world photos, others are painted journeys. By J.H. Williams III. It's some of the coolest comic art I've ever seen, and the Absolute Edition is the best way to own it. I spent hundreds of dollars buying terrible quality used copies on eBay in my journey to collect every Absolute, and now you can buy it for half off cover price at Panelbound Comics. Promethea tells the story of a young girl who becomes the next Promethea. Think of it like Wonder Woman meets Sandman, and Volume 2 is like taking a bunch of acid and listening to Pink Floyd. It's Alan Moore mapping out how he thinks heaven and the afterlife look like and act like. There are infinity page spreads, so much stuff that just trips your mind. You're flipping the book all around 360 degrees, and I cannot recommend it enough. And you are going to get it for a quarter or a tenth of what I paid when it was a whale. Don't buy whales, kids. This is going to collect Prometheas 13 through 23, and it does release January 20th, which, I mean, by the time you're seeing this, it could be a week away. Let's jump on to number 2. Number 2 is by a friend of the channel, and I feel like anytime a creator's been on your interviewed more than once, you can call them a friend of the channel. But we have A New History of the DC Universe by Mark Waid. Now, this is a story of Flash writing the new canon history of the DC Universe. And if you know anything about Mark Waid, he is an encyclopedia, computer, Wikipedia, ChatGPT, all mixed into one, except he knows more than the computers. He is the steward of DC continuity. And if you've ever wondered what's canon and what's not, this is just Mark Waid's version. It doesn't mean it's the only version, but it's a fun story. And what I like is that there's a host of different artists for the different timelines of what it takes place. So you're going to get Jerry Ordway, Todd Newick, Mike Allred, and many others. I think Hayden Sherman is in some of it. But this is going to collect A New History of the DC Universe 1 through 4. I have read the first 2 in single issues. This is not going to be like a fun narrative story. Think of this like taking a history class, but it's on the DC Universe instead. This does release also on January 20th. That's going to be a big week. So, and it does retail for $24.99. Moving on to number 3, we have one of the ones I'm most excited about. That is Absolute Batman Volume 2 Abomination. Now, this is going to come out as a trade paperback or a standard size hardcover. The thing is, PBC, which, you know, I work with and I'm sponsored by, is only going to sell the standard size hardcover. But hey, whichever volume version you prefer, this is by Scott Snyder and illustrated by Nick Dragotta. This also has some Marcos Martin, and this is the follow-up to the Zoo arc. Now, you guys know I'm all in on Absolute Batman. I just pre-ordered a crazy expensive hot toy statue of Absolute Batman, and this you're going to get Mr. Freeze and the Bane arc, so it's really cool. So this is going to collect Absolute Batman 7 through 14, and it does release February 3rd in both a trade paperback and a standard size. And the standard size hardcover is $29.99, but you know it's going to be cheaper on PBC, so go ahead and pre-order now. Now, number 4, we have the only book that was on the video I did about 7 months ago of my most anticipated releases. So that's an important thing. Let me say this. These dates are subject to change. So if I tell you that this book is coming out February 4th, it could, at any time, it could get pushed months away. So just remember that these dates are subject to change. But one of my most anticipated books is Darwyn Cooke's The Spirit Connoisseur Edition. Now, what's a Connoisseur Edition? Scott Dunbier, the Indiana Jones of the collected editions world, helped create these Parker Martini editions by Darwyn Cooke. Now, the Martini editions and the Connoisseur edition are going to be the same trim size, so it is taller and larger than an Absolute. If you want to know all about the different formats, we do have a video that covers that. But this is Darwyn Cooke's work on the Spirit, one of his favorite creations. You guys know the Spirit by Will Eisner, so famous that the Eisner Awards are named after him, or in honor of him. So this is going to be the Spirit 1 through 6, 8 through 12, and they got the rights for the Batman The Spirit one-shot, which is so cool. Now, word of warning, which I wish I would have known before I got the Parkers, not like it would have stopped me, but they do not fit into a Calyx cube. So this will be going on the top for books that are too big. But I have never read any of this, but I 100% believe anything written and illustrated by Darwyn Cooke or Jack Kirby deserves the Absolute treatment, or even larger than the Absolute treatment. So this does release February 4th, and it is by Image Comics, and it retails for $100, which is a killer price for how big of a book you're going to be getting. Darwyn was, I mean, if I could interview any comic book creator, past, present, or future, I guess I can't say future, but it would be Darwyn Cooke. He was, all the comics he could have created if he had only lived longer. Moving on at number 5, we have Helen of Wyndhorn Deluxe Edition. Now this is by one of my favorite teams in comics. You know, my bestie Tom King, with art by Bilquis Evely, colors by Matt Lopez, and letters by Clayton Cowles. They are one of my favorite teams in comics. You might know them from a little comic called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, soon to be a major motion picture. But Helen of Wyndhorn, this tells the story of a young girl or a young woman whose father passed away, and she has a tutor, and she goes to live with her grandfather, who seems like an eccentric millionaire. Turns out he's like a monster slayer. He goes on epic adventures and all these crazy adventures, and Helen decides, you know what? I'm gonna go travel the world, this crazy fantasy world. Think of it like Wizard of Oz meets Conan the Barbarian. And if you like the art of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, this art might be even better, and this is it finally in the oversized. Now, it is going to be library size, but I don't think it has a slipcase, so it says deluxe, but you could consider it a library edition, so it's really fun. Jordan and I got to show Matt Lopez and Bilquis what a library edition looked like when we met them, and they were so excited because they've never had a book of theirs in that trim size before. DC, make an Absolute for Woman of Tomorrow. So this is going to come out February 24th, and it does collect Helen of Wyndhorn 1 through 6, and it retails for $59.99. And I don't know, I believe there's a movie in the works, but we shall see. Moving on to number 6, we have, if I were to give a superlative to this comic, Absolute Superman Volume 2, Son of the Demon, I would say most improved. Now, this might be controversial to some of you, but Superman is one of my, if not my favorite character in all of fiction, and the Absolute Superman, I gotta say, was my least favorite of the Trinity. But I stuck with it every issue, and every single issue got better and better and better. In the words of Chris Balga, he puts his most anticipated comic at the bottom of the pile, so he finishes on a high note. It would go lower and lower on my pile every week, and this is the end of the first full arc. So if they do a deluxe edition, it would probably include what was in Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 2 is going to be Absolute Superman 8 through 14, so it's going to finish off the Ra's al Ghul arc with Superman, and I feel like the first 14 issues of this book, you have a character that is not Clark Kent. He's not Superman yet. He's figuring out who he is, and by the end of it, he figures it out, and anything past this, issue 15, which is not included in this, literally made me tear up this week. So it has become one of my most anticipated books ever, and trust me, if it's a little slow, stick with it. It's all world building. It's doing the most heavy lifting. So this book comes out March 3rd. It's by Jason Aaron. So it'll be a trade paperback or a standard size hardcover. The standard size hardcover will be $29.99. Now moving on to number 7, one of the ones I'm most excited about, a future friend of the channel. So we will be doing an interview. I just had a meeting with him yesterday. Kyle Higgins and Marcello Costa, Radiant Black Massive Verse Edition 2. Now, Radiant Black If you don't know about it, you will someday. It's going to be the next comic as big as Invincible. It's a whole world of comics and interconnecting stories, and people were clamoring for an oversized edition. We finally got volume 1. It's sold out. They rushed it for a reprint, and now we're getting volume 2. And this is going to include stuff that is not included in the trade paperbacks. So there was some stuff that introduced a villain named The Shift, and that was in the Image Amalgam comic, which they weren't allowed to put in the trade paperback. So this will be the only way to read it. Radiant Black, like I said, it'll be the future Invincible. So this is going to collect Radiant Black 13 through 24 of the ongoing series, the Shift one-shot, and a complete cover gallery. I got to see a unreleased PDF of all of the extras in this book. There's over like 150 pages. I got to speak to the guy, the editor who designed the book, and trust me, this is one of my if there's like 3 on here you should buy, this should be one of the 3. You are gonna love it. The extras are insane. This does release March 11th, oversized hardcover, and it is $44.99. Now, number 8. I have this comic. It is one of the 5 absolutes I would never sell. It is Absolute Daytripper. Number 8 is one I own, and it is one of the 5 absolutes I would never sell. Created by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. It is Absolute Daytripper. Now, this is a 10-issue series. It is Black Label, and it is not superheroes or alternate realities or anything crazy like that. It is the most human story you will ever read. I can't really tell you much about, but it is about a man who writes obituaries, and it's moments and snapshots of his life. There is a huge twist. I will not spoil what that twist is, but in the words of friend of the channel, Chris Balga, reading it makes you want to be a better person. So that comes out March 17th. This has been a whale for such a long time. It's been going for crazy prices, and now you can get it at cover, which is $100, and it includes Daytripper 1 through 10. So I might not have done the best job selling it, but you want to go into Daytripper blind. I know that friends of the channel, such as Near Mint Condition, it's one of his favorite absolutes. It's one of Chris Balga's favorite absolutes. Jordan, I let him borrow it. He only read the first few issues, and I think he has no heart. So moving on, the number 1 most anticipated book on all of this list, it is Batman Dark Patterns, done by Dan Waters, who I just interviewed. Art by Hayden Sherman, who I will interview before this comes out, so be on the lookout for that. This is a detective street level Batman. It was inspired by the Batman movie. There was no detective street level Batman. It is 4 cases that interwove and connect into a 12-issue storyline. Almost all new villains, so all new characters. And if you haven't seen Hayden Sherman's art before, they are my favorite artists working at DC right now. Their use of panels, how they can incorporate them into a multi-page spread is amazing without it being convoluted. And Dan expertlessly weaves horror and mystery and suspense, and this will keep you on the edge of your seat, and it's perfect for rereads. So that comes out March 31st. Now here's the thing. It is a complete collection, which means it's all 12 issues in a trade paperback. Now, I want to make a plea to all of you. I know many of you are going to say, oh, I'll wait for a deluxe. I'll wait for a deluxe. When I interviewed Dan, we talked about that. And right now, DC is waiting to see how the trade paperback sells. So I implore all of you on the fence. Sometimes we have to make a sacrifice. Buy the complete collection, and someday we will get a deluxe edition. But if everybody says I'm waiting for a deluxe, we might never get it. But trust me, in the future, this is one of the great Batman stories. If I were to redo my Batman list, it might be number 1, and I can't recommend it enough. So it includes Dark Patterns 1 through 12 at $29.99. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, get it, spectrum, we have Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, written by W. Maxwell Prince, illustrated by Martin Morazzo. You might know those names. They are the creators of Ice Cream Man, who had one of the most invented comics I've ever seen. This is a story of Superman finding new versions of Kryptonite and going, that's crazy. Why don't we test them on me and see what they do? Because we need to make sure if they're safe or not, or how much harm they could cause. And this book is chaos. It has mixed art styles. I mean, think of how wild the creators of Ice Cream Man being able to tell a Superman story. This is peak Silver Age Superman. So it's going to get weird, and it's like something you've never seen before. So you're going to see every bit of side of Superman, and they stick the landing. So this releases this releases April 21st as a standard size hardcover or trade paperback at $29.99. So the Kryptonite Spectrum 1 through 5. It is Black Label, so it gets weird. Definitely maybe not for kids. There's one issue where Superman, his time fracture, so he's seeing the future and the past. There's one issue where he becomes a little kid and becomes a giant. All kinds of crazy stuff happens. And he might even experience some pink kryptonite. So let's see how, you can imagine how that goes. Moving in at number 11, we have Batman by Chip Zdarsky, Omnibus Volume 1. This is obviously done by Chip Zdarsky, illustrated by Josh Adams, Balin Ortega, who is gorgeous, and Jorge Jimenez, some of the best artists out there. And this was Chip Zdarsky's groundbreaking run on Batman. I remember when that first issue came out, how pumped everybody was. And it had the failsafe arc where you get to see Batman falling from space. There's awesome issues where you see him team up with Adam West Batman and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm excited because I did fall off a little bit on the run during the Batman Catwoman war kind of stuff and some of the Joker stuff. So this is going to include Batman 125 through 138, Catwoman 57 through 58, Urban Legends 1 through 6, Batman Catwoman The Gotham War Battle Lines 1, The Gotham War Scorched Earth, and The Gotham War Red Hood 1 and 2. So this releases April 28th, and it is going to be $125. So I'm very excited because I want to finish this run, and I'm super excited. Moving at number 12 is another one that I bought as a whale, but I got a good deal from a fellow, they used to be a YouTuber until they retired, the Deluxe Edition. But this is Omega Men by Tom King, the Deluxe Edition, written by Tom King, illustrated by Barnaby Bajinda, Toby Cypress, and Ig Guerrera. I feel like I butchered all of this, but this is Tom King writing at his most Alan Moore. He used to like joke with his wife when he was writing and go, "Who Omega's the Omega Men?" Like, who watches the Watchmen? Perfect 9-panel grid, starts and ends with quotes. This is Tom writing a love letter to Watchmen, but it's not a parody. This is his own story of Kyle Rayner, one of the most underappreciated Lanterns ever. And you get to see a war-ravaged world. You find out, are these people freedom fighters or terrorists? And there are twists and turns in this book that will shock you. Pretty incredible. And I'm so excited because more people need to read this. It's like a Green Lantern story that's Star Wars in space, but not like Dave Filoni Star Wars. I'm talking like Andor Star Wars. So this is Omega Men 1 through 12, and it is $50. Next up, we have Transformers Deluxe Edition Volume 2. This will complete the Daniel Warren Johnson run from Skybound. This is an Eisner Award-winning run. I cannot recommend it enough. So Daniel Warren Johnson did the art for the first volume, and he does the writing for this one. This time, Jorge Corona is on the art. And I cannot recommend it enough. I've only read the first one. I've never cared about Transformers before, but Daniel Warren Johnson can rip your heart into two. And this is going to collect Transformers 13 through 24 and the Energon Universe Special 2024 and 2025, and it is $49.99. Moving on, now a compact comic of my single favorite omnibus of all time. We're getting a Gotham Central compact comic. Hell yeah! Gotham Central is written by Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka with art by Michael Lark, and it tells the story of the day shift and night shift of detectives at Gotham PD that solve crimes involving supervillains. Batman might appear for a page or two, but he's more of a force of nature. This is my number one most suggested omnibus for new readers, and now we're getting a compact comic for $9.99, so it's going to include the first 10 issues. If you love it, sadly, they might not make a follow-up, so you might have to get the omnibus, but hell yeah, I want someone randomly at an airport to find this compact comic and read it and have their mind be blown. It's that good. Moving on to number 15, Absolute Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison. Now, if you're thinking, I already bought this Absolute, well, sucks, you gotta buy it again because they added more to it. So this is going to include Batman and Robin 1 through 16, which we'll touch on in a second, Batman The Return number 1, and The Return of Bruce Wayne 1 through 6. Correct me in the comments, get in the comments, are we gonna have all of Grant Morrison and Absolute now? Because hell yeah. Batman and Robin is not gonna be Bruce and Damian, it is going to be Dick and Damian. And it's so fun having a Batman that's light and positive and a Robin that's dark and broody. It trips everybody out. It's so fun to read. And The Return of Bruce Wayne, you can maybe guess it, Bruce Wayne's returning from something, so we won't spoil it any more than that. But that comes out, it's going to come out June 2nd, and it is going to retail for $125. And yes, now I'm going to have 2 copies. That's no fun. But what is fun is number 16, Batman, Superman, World's Finest Deluxe Edition. Now, I'm going to say it right here, this is going to be an omnibus someday, and I'm going to fall on the sword for all of you. I'm going to get all the deluxe editions, then they're going to make an Omni, and you're welcome. But this is Mark Waid with Dan Mora, the other person with Hayden Sherman, that's my favorite artist at DC, and this is a slightly yesterday out of continuity story, where it's sort of like in the past, so they can do whatever they want, and it is so fun. Dan Mora is so good. Mark Waid is so perfect in this, and it's a lot of fun. So it is a deluxe edition, and it will collect Detective Comics 1050 and World's Finest 1 through 10. So if you've been holding out, this is your time, but we're going to get an omnibus someday. Number 17 is an omnibus, and it's Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths Omnibus. Now, here's the thing. Dark Crisis isn't the best event, but it's also not the worst event, and I actually really enjoyed it. A couple stories, some of the Young Justice stories I would skip. I'm not going to reread them, but this is a pretty great collection. I loved this series so much, we did a reading order. So this is going to collect Justice League 75, Dark Crisis 0, Dark Crisis 1 through 7, Flash 783 through 786, Road to Dark Crisis number 1, I Am Batman 15, Dark Crisis Young Justice 1 through 6, which you should skip because it's garbage, Dark Crisis World Without a Justice League Superman, written by Tom King and I love it, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, Batman, Dark Crisis, The Deadly Green 1, Dark Crisis Warzone number 1, Dark Crisis The Dark Army number 1, and The Big Bang Dark Crisis number 1. So this will retail for $125. Look, I'm going to get every DC event in Omnibus and Absolute, and that's, you know, the art is good in this run, you know, and I will say, I wish there was a Road to Dark Crisis Omnibus that would collect the Infinite Frontier stuff and the Justice League Incarnate stuff, because I actually prefer that stuff, but Dark Crisis, I think everyone needs to experience it once. Now, number 18, we're going to go way back to the Legends Omnibus. Now, this was not on my radar. I didn't even know what Legends was until I read the Suicide Squad Omnibus that included the Legends 6-issue event series, Legends, which introduced the Suicide Squad. Now, Legends is, you have Darkseid going up against the Justice League and the heroes of Earth, but instead of physically going after them, he's going to manipulate the people of Earth to be scared of the heroes. You get a scene where a mob beats up Robin, you get all these crazy events, you get to see cool moments with all the DC heroes, and you get to see the effects of propaganda and how our heroes can be viewed as villains. Now, I've never read any of the crossovers or the tie-ins. I know this was my friend Backato's first event collecting everything, so if the tie-ins suck, blame him. This is going to have Legends 1 through 6, Batman 401, Detective Comics 568, Green Lantern Corps 207, Cosmic Boy 1 through 4, don't know who that is, Justice League of America 258 through 261, Secret Origins 10, The Fury of the Firestorm. Man, Firestorm was boring in that Suicide Squad Omnibus. 55, 58, 59, Firestorm and the Nuclear Man, Blue Beetle 9 through 10, Warlord 114 through 115. Also, I hope they do this with the newsprint. Superman number 3, Adventures of the Superman 426, Action Comics 586, and The Making of Essays for $100. Again, this was the first event post-Crisis, and they went for way more of a philosophical villain. Moving on, number 19. I'm sorry, guys. This was supposed to come out in January. They pushed it a long ways up till June 30th. This is the Crisis on Infinite Earths Absolute, which has been out of print for so long. If you have the old version, the new version has a bunch of different stuff. This is going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths 1 through 12 and the DC Universe 1 through 2. So it'll be 2 different books inside the slipcase. Obviously, this is Marv Wolfman, George Perez, $125. I've seen pictures where it's going to be silver instead of blue like the old one. I don't know, but I'm excited. This does come out June 30th. Again, every DC event in Omnibus, every DC event in Absolute. And George Perez painstakingly draws hundreds of characters on every page. So trust me, this is an Absolute you need, and you'll get it for way cheaper than I got the last one for. Okay, 20, Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, Omnibus Volume 2. As you can guess, it's by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. This is the Eisner Award-winning run. Volume 1 is some of my favorite comics of all time. Volume 2 sticks the landing. I will say I do like the first volume more, and you might want to throw in the Titans Omnibus, which is not on my list, but this comes out July 7th. And it is going to include Nightwing's 97 through 100, 105, 109 through 110, 114 through 118, 101A, 104A, 106A, 108A, 111A, 113A, 114, 118, and annual 2022. And you're going to see sexy Dick Grayson dressed like a pirate. So at $100, honestly, I love the size of the Nightwing Omnibus, the first one. I don't need every omnibus to be 50 issues. I know some of us wish they were, but these are so much easier to read. Moving on to 21, the Absolute is out of print. The omnibus is getting harder to get, but this is a must-read Planetary Compendium. I'm so excited for this book. I feel like it's going to do well in the compendium format. So this is written by Warren Ellis, illustrated by the late, great John Cassidy. And this tells the story of the Wildstorm universe, the archaeologists of the strange and the paranormal. So it's groundbreaking. I wasn't crazy about the Authority until I read Planetary and fell in love with the Wildstorm universe. So it stars Elijah Snow and the drummer, and it's just a love letter. Each issue is a love letter comics. According to this, it's only going to collect Planetary 1 through 27. If I was a betting man, I would optimistically hope we get the crossovers with Batman and with the Justice League. But if we just get the 27 issues, it's a self-contained story, and this might be my #1 compendium ever. And it is retailing for $59.99, and it comes out July 14th. So moving on to one of my other most anticipated books, Absolute Batman by Darwyn Cooke. I was so excited for this. I sold an omnibus. I sold my Catwoman omnibus. But I had been wanting Selina's big score in an Absolute for years that is written and drawn by Darwyn Cooke. But this is going to include Batman Ego, deserves an Absolute. Catwoman Selina's big score. Detective Comics 759 through 762, Catwoman 1 through 4. Gotham Knights 23 and 33, Solo 1 and 5. Also Batman the Spirit #1, which is in the Darwyn Cooke Connoisseur Spirit Edition. Batwing 24, 26 through 27, Harley Quinn 0, New Talent Showcase 19, Harley Quinn Holiday Special 1, and Batman Ego and Other Tales Deluxe Edition 1. Again, I said it before, anything written by or drawn by Kirby or Cooke deserves the Absolute. And I love that they didn't just give us an Ego Absolute, because they could have done that, or a Selina one. They just said, let's throw every Darwyn Cooke thing that he did, even Batman adjacent, into one awesome Absolute. So this comes out July 21st. And it will retail for $100. Number 23. This was leaked to me by one of the artists themselves at Heroes Con, but Absolute Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons by Kelly Sue DeConnick, Phil Jimenez, and Gene Ha. Not going to say who leaked it to me, but this might be the most groundbreaking art I've ever seen. I'm not a crazy Wonder Woman fan, but this made me love the origin stories of the Amazons. Each art style is different. Each page tells a story. I'll put up some art from that, and it is just groundbreaking. It tells the story of the birth of Wonder Woman and the birth of where they find Paradise Island. So this includes the Amazons 1 through 3. I also think that James Gunn read this and loved it. That might be why we'll be getting a Paradise Island TV show. So this comes out August 11th, and it retails for $100, and hell yeah, I'm buying it. Number 24, DCKO, written by Scott Snyder with art by Javi Fernandez. Look, here's the thing. We're going to get an omnibus someday. I hope we get an omnibus as fast as we got Night Terrors. This is one of the coolest things I've ever read. This is just grab all your action figures and have them fight. So basically, Darkseid has become this thing, this godlike being that can destroy the world. So the DC heroes and villains need to fight in a gladiator, Mortal Kombat-esque world, and the winner will be as powerful as Darkseid, and then they can fight it out. This is all kinds of fun. This will come out August 4th. This will just collect the 4 issues of the main event. Here's the thing. You want to read the tie-ins for this. I haven't had this much fun at an event in a long time, but if you buy this, it'll help speed up the omnibus. So this does come out for $29.99. Okay, number 25. This was on my monthly show I do with Chris on the FOC solicit pre-orders, but Absolute Demon by Jack Kirby. What did I say multiple times in this video? Anything by Jack Kirby or Darwyn Cooke deserves the Absolute treatment, and this is his run on Etrigan the Demon. They are reprinting the omnibus, which is the Bronze Age DC Universe by Jack Kirby, but Jack Kirby's use of the 9-panel grids deserves the oversized treatment. I'm sure they're going to restore the art. So this says The Demon 1 through 16, featuring 200 pages of original pencils and inks presented by the Kirby Museum with brand new essays by the creators that forward the legacy of Etrigan, and a brand new forward by horror legend Stephanie Bissette. So this will be 125. Look, it's a Jack Kirby book. It deserves the Absolute. If I was a betting man, I would guess the design would match the Fourth World Absolutes. Give me everything Jack Kirby and Absolute, and it retails for 125. On to the final one of our most requested books of all time, and I'll tell you my theory on this. Number 26 is Absolute Superman, The Man of Steel by John Byrne. He is both the writer and the artist of those first 6 issues. This was the post-crisis reintroduction, new origin of the Man of Steel. And this might be one of the most perfect, quintessential Superman books ever. Now, everybody is dying for an omnibus of Man of Steel. I believe DC will restore what's the most popular part of a run, make it an Absolute edition, and if that sells, that helps fund the restoration process to give us oversized. I saw on a stream by Near Mint Condition Omar when one of the DC collected editions people was there, and people were asking, when are we getting a Man of Steel omnibus? And they said, when it's been this long and it's that requested, it's a restoration process issue. So if they put the money behind the Absolute edition and that sells and it helps fund the omnibus, that's a no-brainer. So this will be the first 6 issues which were written and drawn by John Byrne. It retells the Batman origin, so no more Supergirl, no more Superboy. He doesn't become Superman until he's at Metropolis. Lex Luthor goes from this weird evil scientist to a titan of industry, and it's just, and you get to see his first meeting with Batman. It is just the 6 most perfect Superman issues of all time. It does come out September 8th. So that is 26 titles that I will be buying and adding to my personal library. And these are ones I highly recommend. But if there was one on this list that you think I'm crazy that I omitted, let me know in the comments, because you know what? I could get more than 26 comics this year, you know? But I want to thank you all so much for watching. This is so fun that I get to connect with all of you. Jordan and I get to make these videos, and it means the world that you guys watch it. So just a reminder, you can pre-order all of these. Every single one is up for pre-order at Panelbound Comics. There you can use code Braveboys to save $2, or Braveboyssit on 4 or more to save 5%. We also have an Instagram. It would mean the world to us if you subscribe to our Instagram. We're trying to connect more with creators and publishers there with Jordan's awesome book photography. And we have a Discord. We're trying to grow that. We're trying to grow a community, because here's the thing. Comics should be accessible to everybody. And I want to build the community of positivity and love where we can all share the comics that we love and connect with people and make the world a little bit of a better place, because the world is a little crazy right now. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. This is going to be such an exciting year. I can't wait 7 months from now to see what my next 7 months of releases are going to be. So thank you for watching. Keep reading and stay brave.